Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the most OP new Rafa build in Borderlands 4. After the latest update, there has been some changes to his kit. He did get some nice buffs. I'll be breaking down all of that in this video. So this is in Ultimate Vault Hunter 5, and this build actually works extremely well. What's also nice is with the Bullet Buddy Deluxe, you can shoot some guns that only have one bullet in them and get a huge boost to your overall damage and just continually spam the bullets. It's actually crazy the amount of damage that this build outputs, and we'll be using there'll be no cheats or any type of exploits in this video, so you can do this, and it works from levels 1 all the way through the 50 because Rafa actually gets a very crazy and effective skill tree. So yeah, he gets many benefits. We can stay in our overdrive form for a very long time, and I'll be breaking down all of that in this video. So a brief overview of the build. We'll be using the Dancer class mod. This isn't fully necessary, but this will double our overdrive benefits, and overdrive will be active while our action skill is active. So we can actually keep our benefits quite a long time. And this is because we can also get our action skill duration restored upon critical hits here, which actually can give us a pretty good amount of time in our overdrive state. And then also with some of these other ones, we can increase our overall cooldown so we constantly keep getting it back. We can also get some abilities here that increase the duration. We'll get extra damage while we're in this state. And yeah, I'll be breaking down this all here. And starting off at level 1, we get one of the best abilities here, right? Level 1 with Acidiaire here, giving us a potential or a plus 25% gun damage, which is absolutely crazy. And right at the start, we get our best augment, the Bullet Buddy Deluxe. It's really hard to beat this one. So whenever we have our action skill active, our allies will regenerate ammo to our magazines, and Peacebreaker cannons will deal bonus fire damage based on how full our gun is. Turrets will shoot exploding bullets, and pressing F will make it so that our guns consume no ammo, and this causes our action skill duration to burn a little bit quicker. That's fine though, because we can keep our action skill up pretty much indefinitely. So this is just going to give us infinite ammo, additional damage. It becomes crazy. Now for our next levels 5 through 10, Huerga here actually gives us so that whenever we critically hit an enemy, we get our action skill duration restored by 15%. And whenever we have an extra amount of, whenever we have an extra duration, this actually stacks up quite a bit. So there's a few skill tree points that kind of build off of this one here. This is a cooldown of 4 seconds though. So every 4 seconds, try to get a critical hit if possible, because this will replenish your action skill duration. And then with the Resiliencia, now this one's actually really good because we're going to try and stay in overdrive as much as possible. This will reduce the damage that we take by 30% almost, which is just absolutely crazy. The other choices are nice, getting increased skill damage, increasing damage from all sources. If you don't want this damage increase, this is a 30% damage reduction. You could go with the Deft Hands, which will give you a 20% boost to your fire rate, which is obviously like almost a 20% increase to your overall damage output, which is really nice, but I think that this one ends up being a little bit better. Now, once we get down here, I think actually the best way to go is into this middle skill tree here. So we'll take the Vitriol here. You can go with this one if you really wanted to, but I think this one's a little bit better. So the first fired shot after we reload will have additional corrosive damage. You want to get in a habit of reloading pretty often on this, especially if you have guns that reload quickly. Shotguns get the biggest benefit from this because a bonus 55% damage is actually kind of nuts. And even if it's just a few bullets that you shoot and reload, you're getting a big boost to your overall damage. Now, I like to get this pain reaction here. So guns have a chance to ricochet off of enemies with status effects, and this is ricochet damage is based on the damage dealt. This is really good because we can ricochet and deal a crazy amount of damage. However, I like to take one set of the concentrated buildup because whenever we do this, whenever we aim down our sights, we get additional shock damage on our attacks. While aiming, this will increase in stacks and deal additional damage. I found that if I put all the points into it, I actually lost damage potential. The pain reaction is good, but this just gives us a slight bit of shock damage extra, which is great because whenever we inflict status effects, we gain an increased action skill cooldown rate and decreased skill duration rate. So we can actually apply all these together to get a crazy... The duration rate minus 3% means we last in our state a bit longer. Now the beam team here, this is our Capstone. Why I like this one is because it's able to set up statuses for us. So we get a shock and a corrosive beam, and this will lock on enemies, kind of similar to our normal bullet ones. Whenever Rafa applies a status effect, he gains increased action skill damage. So this will actually keep boosting up our damage. We can get mass stacks, there's a little typo there, of 50 stacks. I previously did a build of the double auto shot. I'll link that in the description. It's really good too, but I found this to be a little bit better with this specific setup. Now, I like to take the Inspirato here. So whenever we deal in status effect on an enemy, we gain increased action skill cooldown rate. Because we're going to be inflicting statuses often. So this is something that's actually pretty nice to have up. We can get 5 stacks of it, so that's a potential 45% cooldown rate plus or 45% duration rate reduction. So that's really nice. Now, this one's actually pretty good too. So enemies damaged by Peacebreaker cannons have an increased chance to receive status effects. This all works together because this gives us increased bonuses whenever we have stat effects. This will actually give us a 35% chance of applying a status whenever they are hit by the Peacebreaker cannons. This actually works out to be pretty good extra damage. At this point, I prefer to go into another skill tree. Everdrive, we can take this. So for our next levels, we can get that plus 35% overdrive. And then you can take the Temerario here, which will give us additional gun damage, but decreased gun handling for every stack. I have a class mod on, so that's a plus 60% gun damage. If we stay in our overdrive, this actually boosts up our damage quite a bit, but it reduces the handling. Not a huge deal. It's actually pretty crazy damage output, and then we can get it so we double all of our overdrive with the Soltado. However, there are a couple ways we can do this. I like to go into the blue skill tree here because there's some really good options. So the Thrill is actually pretty underrated. So this is an overdrive skill. Whenever we are in our overdrive, we get an extra boost to our fire rate. So I have a class mod that gives us a +4. This gives us plus 27% fire rate and then an additional 18% when overdrive's active. So you can actually get some pretty crazy fire rates, especially with the Bullet Buddy Deluxe, giving us infinite ammo on a gun that shoots fast. It's actually a pretty crazy amount of damage boost. Now we can also go ahead here. So take one less stack there, put one into the reload speed increase, which allows us to take the Preparado here. So whenever we reload our current gun, it gains stacks the action skill cooldown rate. And we're using a gun that reloads often, so you can imagine that's pretty good. So this gives us plus 15% per stack, 3 stacks, duration 6 seconds. We're reloading often. We get our action skill back fast. And then the first impression is really good. It stacks with the vitriol there because this will give it a first shot from a fired magazine gives a 50% damage boost, which is further boosted up with the vitriol there. Those are two of the best skill tree points in the entire Borderlands 4, so they're worth taking. But this gives us a problem because then we can't actually go down and take the Temerario, which does give us a nice boost to our damage. So there's a couple options you can go with. Like, we don't have to take the first impression, although I find the damage boost and the Preparado gives you a big boost to overall damage. I just want to provide another option. So let's say we didn't put anything in the blue tree, we got our skill points back. We would go full in on the Temerario. We would take one Soltado there. And then we can take the final points and put them into the asymmetric warfare here. Indirect projectiles will get additional damage, which is actually crazy. And then we can give them lifesteal, which keeps us alive. 40% lifesteal in an indirect projectile, which we're going to do a ton of. That becomes pretty crazy survivability. So we'd have those two options there. If you want to get the Temerario, double our overdrive bonuses, which overdrive gives us additional damage and movement speed. So this can give you higher damage on pretty much every gun. But if we go into this skill tree here, you can also just get that boost to the overall gun damage on your first shot. And then the Preparado there, which will give you action skill cooldown regeneration. So either the blue or the red skill trees, these work both really well. And alternatively, you could actually just take one stack of lifesteal because I find that's more than enough, and then get the additional fire damage on it too, because this can actually be nice. Bonus 24% fire damage is quite nice. And that's because those overdrive bonuses being increased by 100% is such a good ability, and this will actually make it so that your overdrive benefits are always active as long as your action skill's up. This is kind of almost essential to this because of the boost you get from it. There's other class mods out there. I just think that this one ends up being the absolute best. You can get some better rolls. Now, Onion Shield actually works pretty well here because whenever you break a segment, you get immunity to damage for 2 turns. This gives up to 10% damage dealt, scaling with each broken. So you get more damage from the shield. And then whenever the armament segments break, we get a huge movement speed. So you know whenever you broke your shield, because you get 5 seconds of increased movement speed and it'll knock enemies back. This gives us some massive survivability because we can pop this and then get our action skill up again, and it becomes pretty crazy. I also don't mind going with the fireworks shield to just damage enemies around you. And then the Timekeeper's new shield can actually be pretty good because when your overdrive's active, you get 30% damage reduction. This reduces damage by 33% as well, so you can be pretty survivable. And then we got the Volatile Quintain here. So this makes it so that our Jacob's guns will ricochet another time and give us Jacob's licensed parts have a 20% chance of grant a critical hit. There are better options out there. Like there's actually quite a few decent ones, but I always like going with the ones that boost up Jacobs just because the damage, especially on Rafa build, the ricochets become crazy. Now the critical hit knife is good, but really any grenades can work here. We're not going to be using this for the purpose of, well, I'll have it on, but I'm not going to use it that much just because there's not really a need for this. And I feel like this will get nerfed. So you can go with like the Slippy grenade or really whatever grenade you find. Waterfall works well too. Even the heavy ordnance can be nice because the damage is so high. But this one here is actually really good. This gives the increased damage of next shot by 200%. So our single fire shots and our gun are actually becoming crazy with this. And then also we got the high caliber here. Ideally, I'd get the Pierce all the way up or the Deadeye, which gives increased critical hit damage. Didn't get the potential to get that. But that is a really good rep kit because with a specialization, we get our action skill back even quicker. Now for weapons, Oscar Mike with the space laser is always a good choice. It does crazy huge damage. Lucian's flank's nice too because critical hits will replenish ammo. I got the ice one here, and it's actually pretty good for shredding. Hot Slugger is probably the best gun in the game for Rafa. I did mention that you could take the blue skill tree and get that bonus 50% damage. Even still, we got the Vitriol giving a 55% damage boost, which is still good enough. Despite losing the 50% damage boost, you can get it from the Tema Mario, which I showed off there, which can apply to all guns. And Plasma Coil is just my beloved. I love this gun. It has high damage. It shoots 8-round bursts. You can also go, if you really want to be cheesy, the Kickballer with a Jacob's License. It'll explode and spread around to multiple enemies. Burt's Bees, you can get the Rick Jacobs one, which is possible to get that roll with higher damage than this one. You can roll with that. I just really like to go with the Plasma Coil. And even Snipers, Stray is a really good one because the Stray doesn't require you to aim at all. You can use Stray. So those are the guns that I got. There's a lot of other great options though. And finally, the Specializations. So there's some pretty good options. As for our Specializations, I got Now with Caffeine. This is the most essential one here, giving us action skill cooldown rate reduction of 25% when we use our Repkit. 3 of them. This gives us our 75% action skill cooldown rate back, which basically, by the time that it takes between each usage, you're going to have your action skill back. It's crazy. The best defense, we're going to be having a bit of lifesteal here. So if we have full health, we get an additional 30% damage. That's pretty great. We also got Riddle You This, which can give you plus 50% damage. With the Tema Mario, this becomes pretty crazy. The stacking damage is absolutely absurd. And then we have a Honed Mind. So action skills get a chance to critically hit. And then critical hit damage is boosted by them. You can also go with the I Am a Gun to boost the damage up from our gun damage. But those work well. And even the Bullet Train's nice because whenever you run around, you get additional 50% damage. So if you don't like to go with the Honed Mind critical hit on action skill, this one can be really nice because you can move around dealing damage. So getting into a fight, I'm in Ultimate Vault under 5 here. So we want to get our action skill up because that's going to give us a big boost to the damage. Then we can activate our Bullet Buddy Deluxe, which gives us infinite ammo. For some reason, that did not apply there. So yeah, whenever you have the infinite ammo, you can actually replenish ammo with this gun. The damage isn't high from this gun. The Hot Slugger is going to be much better. So that's my favorite gun here, especially if you have the ability to give that extra damage. And the nice thing is we got this this bonus corrosive damage can actually do a big number on enemies that have armor there because you can reduce that really quickly. Another thing with the Hot Slugger is we got the Bullet Buddy Deluxe there, so that just lets us spam the shots. But if you don't have the Bullet Buddy Deluxe up, another nice thing is you can just press the reload button and it's going to shoot this even faster. And the best part about all of this is every time that you're dealing damage in your overdrive, you get that boost. You can see the shots are a little bit harder to land because our circle there for aiming is so much bigger, but as long as you keep close to the boss with the lasers there, it can actually do crazy damage. That was using no glitches, no critical hit knife, nothing, just firing away, having our action skill up, and then the Bullet Buddy Deluxe, which you can see, we actually get this back really quickly. So I'm just letting it wear off. Normally you'd be killing enemies and getting it back. But if you need to get it back, 24 seconds, then you can just pump yourself with the Repkit a few times, and then boom, you have your action skill back and you can go back into it. So yeah, this is an absolutely crazy build. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you all in the next video.